Evil Asshole 1 here, guys, and today we're going to do a banner review of Ace Rim, and also we're going to be talking about the free unit, because that unit is also pretty good. Let's get to the main point. The selling point for these units, the reason why you want to go for them is because of Dark Vision made stages. Now, there's kind of like three big weaknesses when it comes to mages, when it comes to Dark Visions. First off, they're very elemental limited. Their attacks are AoE, and that hurts Dark Visions, because when you do an AoE attack and the enemy dies, they will not continue casting, so you can get that chaining cap you're really looking for, trying to hit those high numbers. And thirdly, most of the time you have to stack their power over time. When it comes to Ace and Rim, they don't really have those particular weaknesses. First off, they're not elemental limited, because when you're looking here at the Wikipedia, you will then notice they all have this little mark on them. That basically means they are physical attacks with magic damage. So that means you can imbue them with whatever element you want, not putting them in a limitation on them, and you can also utilize physical killers onto them. That opens up for a lot of good things when it comes to this unit. Also, the powers are not stackable, it's a lot more instant, which is great. Now, Ace does have some way to unlock his power a little bit more, but it's not in a stacking way. You can have a pretty good on-demand power right off the bat, which is great. And the final part, the selling point, is their magic attacks are single target, especially when you're talking about the BS. So even if the enemy dies and falls down and bleeding on the ground, they will still continue beating on that dead horse. So they are really good. And there's also a fourth nice little thing, especially mostly for Ace. Their TM passive is nothing noteworthy. You can easily ignore it. Because when you have their TM and Super TMRs, you get a Magic and Spirit MP plus 20%. Wow. Did I tell you they are dual wielders? And that means you can easily put in a second weapon that can easily cover some of these passive when you get through the item world. Not too much of a problem. Increase Limber's fill rate? I think I can live without that. Increase Esper bonus stats? Yeah, the nice extra small 1, 2, 3, 5 points you can get there in some of your stats. It's nice, but it's not going to make a big difference. Increase evoke damage with 100%. Yeah, I am not going to be missing that one. So that's great, especially for Ace, because honestly his TM and Super TMR is not the best, but it's not the worst. It's not garbage. His TMR is decent actually, especially he's a dual wielder. It doesn't hold a big limitation if you want that TM passive. It gives a magic 144 with a magic plus 20%, and it does come in with a demons and machine killers of 25%. So if you're trying to hit those particular killers, it could be a great way to stack it a little bit more up. His Super TMR, and I'm a little more disappointed with. The raw stats are still good, magic plus 60, spirit plus 50, but that's it. The passive it has is basically just giving you magic and spirit resistance. That's nothing special. Seriously, that's it? That's all we're getting? Yeah, but it is for 99 turns, it's lasting for basically the entire fight if you want to, but it's nothing else. It doesn't increase magic or spirit, doesn't do anything else. It's very lackluster, so you can easily ignore the Super TMRs on these units. And keep in mind, he can also be equipped with a whip, so if you got Christine's Super TMR, which I hope you went for, because that thing was amazing with a 50% true dual wield of 50%, that's going to help you to hit the cap a lot more easier. Now, when we're looking through his kit, of course you want to use him as a main damage dealer, but he does have a few noteworthy things you can maybe play around with. He can notify next spells cast for 1 turn, so there are some times you can stop some magic attacks from bosses. You can use that for him. He can also cast an AoE evasion for 1 turn to the entire team. Can also be really great if you have a little hard time adding in a unit to give that evasion, because most of the time you have a magic cover, and there might be a physical AoE attack that could do quite a bit of damage to you. Being able to add some evasion can be a little help. Just keep in mind these moves are Chaos Waves, where I say you want to be focusing mostly on his built-in strike frames, because that's really where most of his power is coming from. Now, you can make him an evading unit, because he has 20% natural evasion in his kit, but we don't have a lot of gear that is evasion and increases magic at the same time, so it will be a bit of a waste, but maybe down the line there comes something unique like that, and then you could maybe pull him out to become a 100% evader. Now, he has 2 elements he specializes around. He can add to himself, that is lightning and ice. Both of them are for 6 turns, but remember again, anyone else you have that can imbue, you can add that element to him, so you can ignore this step most of the time. And again, they're Chaos Waves. He does also add killers to himself against demons and machine with 75%. Not bad at all, especially against those types. And he has permanently access to triple cast. He doesn't have 4 times cast or 5 times cast, anything like that. able to buff himself with 250%, and he does come in with a pretty powerful limit burst, so you could kind of like make him a finisher if you want to. The limit burst comes in with a 72 times multiplier, again is registered as physical, again whatever element and killers you add on will be registered as physical killers. It will also buff himself with 250% for 4 turns, so you can play around with it. It's a bit on the more expensive side. He does have a limit burst passive increase of 50%, but none of his other cooldowns increases limit burst damage. But if you add someone else, like Frey, for example, who could buff limit burst damage up with 50%, yeah, that will increase the power significantly as well. But that's not how I would see myself using him. As I mentioned, the main power, of course, is as a damage deal, and that's where you want to use Burst Plus Plus, that unlock Terra Burst Plus. So that's kind of like the thing here. You have an on-demand 53 times multiplier. That's a nice buff he got here. So he has a lot of power just firing off, and he decreases Eyes of Light 100%. But when you start to unlock some of his abilities, just ignore all of this up here. It's nothing special. Yes, he has some AoE healing, AoE MP, blah blah, but that's nothing. A lot of healers can do this in their sleep, and they will do it many times better than what he does. They did not buff anything there. So the Terra Bust becomes a 50 times multiplier, still decreasing 100% for 4 turns, but it unlocks the Pita Bust Plus, still changed with the Bolden Strike. The Pita Bust will then decrease Fire, Ice, and Lightning with 110%. Yeah, that is added a Fire Elemental debuff with a 6 times multiplier, and then it unlocked the extra Bust for a single turn, for 4 turns for a single use. Keep that in mind. And then it becomes a 65 times multiplier. And again, enable skill to the caster, extra bust as well. Bolden Strike, but we decrease now Fire, Ice, and Lightning with 120% for 4 turns. So as you can see, very straightforward unit to be utilizing. Great power, true dual wielder, love this unit. So I really like it. Plus he got a lot of good killers naturally in his kit as well, against demons and Machina as well. So yeah, there's some good stuff in there that allows him to do some serious damage against them. Overall, I really do like Ace, and he especially works well with Rim by his side. They pair up very well. Now, compared to Ace, Rim's TMs and Super TMRs are significantly better. Especially her TM is going to be a big helping hand in trying to get the true dual-wield matching build up. Because right now, we don't really have any gear that is allowed to be stacking, but as it looks like, it should be able to be stackable, this particular TM. It comes in with a 10% HP with a magic speed plus 30%, increased potent healing from items with 200%, but it comes in with a true dual magic of 25%. So if you're allowed to stack this one, and if you get 2 of her, get both TMs, and once again, she can be equipped with whips. If you got Christine's Super TMR that has 50%, boom, that's 100% true dual wield magic very easily. Really good stuff when it comes to this particular TM. It's a pretty good one if you're trying to get the true dual magic build up if you don't have particular Super TMRs for that. And when we speak about Super TMRs, she has a pretty good one in her dagger. It has a magic of 171, a spirit of 120, and this one actually has a pretty good passive. Limber's fill rate 100%, and also comes in with a natural dual wield in its kit. And a lot of mages can be equipped with a dagger, and 175 in magic is actually pretty darn nice coming along the way. So you can force others becoming into dual wielders without needing to put in a materia or anything like it. So the Super TMR is really good. The unit itself's noteworthy capabilities, it has some pretty good healing capabilities. Now the original Rim we have here on Global Side that Warrior Enhanced became actually a pretty strong healer. And she kind of like continues the same thing. She has Coraja, she has dual cast by the way in her kit, so she can dual cast some of these abilities. She has also auto revive to a single target, which is also great. And she can revive a single target. Sadly, it's only 30%, but she is going to be a good enough healer because her healing are more than enough potent to make sure she can do what is going to be needed. So, in certain fights, there are builds or teams you can put together where you don't need a dedicated healer because you either have 100% evasion or your magic coverage just has so much elemental resistance the enemy can't do anything to you. So you just need someone who can do some support healing from time to time. So you can kind of like take the healer away and put Rim in there. So she will help doing some extra damage. You can burst down even faster. In theory, but keep in mind you can't heal and do damage at the same time. So it's not going to be a major selling point. It's just another option you can play around with her. Now, as I mentioned before, her main power is the Bolden Strike family, but she does have a bit of Chaos Wave family coming in. Now keep in mind, her Chaos Wave magics are regular magic attacks, so do have back into those minds, but they do add elements to her for 4 turns. But after that, it becomes magic attacks with this mark that is physical registered. So again, whatever element you're at, it will do that element of physical attacks thus far. She also has the Bolt and Strike here, so you can ignore the Chaos Waves. But again, I'm just mentioning the Chaos Wave because you might want to use Chaos Wave sometimes for Ace, for certain attacks. She does also have a non-elemental one, so don't worry, thank God for that, or else the synergy wouldn't be too great. But again, a lot of elements you can add in, the Fire, Ice, and Lightning element. She even recovers some MP to an entire team with 200 as well, which is really good. Costs a little bit of a Limb Burst fill rate, her Limb Burst gauge, but 200 for a 200 MP recovery is really good. And it can be paired alongside with a triple cast, so this is basically the full conversion of mages. So, once again, you gotta make sure your team is not gonna be burning out of MP. Oh, that is so nice. She can also give killers, but the difference here is she gives demon and machine killers for 50% for 3 turns to all allies, but also decreases Spirit with 70% for 3 turns while chaining with the Bolt and Strike family. Just remember, you need to use Accelerate beforehand to upgrade it to this kind of move. But that's not too bad at all if you need to add in killers if you don't have Mastermind Zahn to give some of the most OP killers to the entire team. On-demand triple cast always, and of course her Bolt and Strike is the main source of power. The cool thing about her, she has this on-demand elemental debuff up to 120% you can use on turn 1 on a 4 turns cooldown. That also chains with 60 times. So you can already see, oh my god, she's going to be really good to those first turn bursting capabilities. Yes. She also got a nice little boost to Flying Dagger. It's not a crazy one, but it's still a little damage boost that came down here. That is kind of like one of our main damage sources. You want to be firing off left and right as much as possible when you use the other cooldown abilities, especially this one. So yeah, she's very straightforward when it comes to it. Again, same passive you can ignore if you want to, but given her TM passive, there's a good chance you're going to be adding it in there. And you can also see some damage modifier increases. Her Limit Burst is also decent. Again, 60 time multiplier AoE, and it decreases fire, ice, and light resistance 120% for 3 turns. 250% buff, 3 turns as well, it cannot be dispelled. Overall, she is a great unit as well when it comes to their damage. They are pretty darn good. Compared to some of the mages, they are doing very well when it comes to average damage. They're significantly more powerful, but their bursting is not as impressive as, say, for example, Sarah or Four Winds. But their weaknesses, they are very elemental locked. Especially Sarah is very earth elemental locked. And Four Winds is locked to her 2 other elements, ice and wind. But these units are not limited to their elements, and they pair up extremely well. They're not holding each other back too much. You are getting pretty easy access to their power, and the on-demand 120% element debuff that comes from Rim can be a big deal as well to amplify Ace's power too. Overall, these 2 units really stands out, and if you want to take on Dark Vision, I highly recommend these 2 units for that. And the final unit we are going to be talking about is the free one you don't have to pull for. During this mark event, we have started to see some pretty good free units, and Machina is one of them. He is very useful as a unit itself, but he also comes in an incredible TM and Super TMR as well. Great combo stuff here. So his TMR is a sword with 151 in attack. That's pretty good for a standard TM, with an MP plus 30%, but what makes this stand out is that he has inherited dual wield. So, if you are as a person that has some units like Dragoons, like Sid for example, units like them get a power surge when you add just any type of dual wield. But the problem is, if you don't have actually the original Machina Super TMR, that was a sword with 163 in attack, with also dual wield, well, this can now be your go-to option to really amplify the power significantly. Great stuff. That's a really good TM. And then the Super TMR is a clothes armor, 33 in attack, defense 38, and a pretty high spirit of 44. But it also has a really good passive of 50% increase of attack power when you equip with a sword. Yes, please. Great TM, great Super TMR on a really good unit for a free one. Are you still lacking a breaker? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the unit you should be going for, my friend, because he is a strong single target breaker. The unit has on-demand breaks on defense and spear with 75%. Yes, you heard me right. Not 70%, 75% on demand for 2 turns. Yes, it will drop down to 70% for 4 turns, but do I need to tell as Seko comes in here and screams that it's gonna be Bolt and Strike? Yes, Seko, they hear it. It is Bolt and Strike. Strike everywhere. Bolt and Strike and Bolt and Strike. You're right, my friends. Everything you see here is Bolt and Strike. Attack and magic break, 2 turns, Bolt and Strike chaining, my friends. We can add fire, Bolt and Strike, my friend. Lightning physical, Bolt and Strike. Right, Sego? Exactly, Bolt and Strike comes right in once again. And he needs to have on-demand breaks that can continue on auto-casting each and every turn. Now keep in mind the single target, but it also changes with a Bolt and Strike. First turn, breaks 70%. Next turn, auto-cast with 70%. Next turn again, auto-cast 70% as well. Oh, the Bolt and Strike continue onward when he can debuff Fire, Ice, and Lightning with 120% on only 1 turn, but it changes with the Bolt and Strike, and then we'll go down to 100% for 3 turns. This is great stuff, and all of it can be dual casted. He even has triple cast he can unlock as well. Absolutely amazing. But that's not the only thing. He actually has some other interesting mechanics that makes him stand out. This Guardian Blades Plus, for example, I really enjoy. It casts in a damage mitigation of 30% for 3 turns. It cures any breaks that happen to your team for defenses. It buffs defense with 150% for 3 turns. That's decent. But it will then grant a chance to counter physical attacks taken by allies except for the caster. Most of the time, you have a 100% provoker that is going to be taking the damage, and that means he's going to be countering with 100% chance with physical damage 6 times for 3 turns, 3 times. So, a lot of the great tanks we have at the moment does not have high counter capabilities. And if you will need some limit burst fill rate, some way to build up as quickly as possible, having a unit who can counter is a big deal. And he can do that for free pretty easily when you cast a damage mitigation. But he also casts magic damage mitigation with 30% for 3 turns, and also cures any spirit breaks and build up spirit with 150%. So he has some great support capabilities to keep some of your defenses up. That's actually pretty damn good for a free unit, if I gotta say so. Not only that, he can heal himself, he can buff himself up with 200% for 5 turns that cannot be dispelled, and that is the move that also unlocks his triple cast for 6 turns on a 4 turns cooldown ability. That's good. That is really good to have. He can also buff up with 300% for a single turn, where he increased damage modifier for some of his moves with 20%, while chaining with the Bolt and Strike family. Of course he chains with the Bolt and Strike, right, Sicko? Oh, he's eating. So he's not going to be saying Bolt and Strike to us at the moment. Now, I didn't mention this with Ace and Rim, but all of them has this particular cooldown ability that can be really good. It builds up SP gauge instantly when they're sacrificing themselves, but also gives 40 Limb Burst crystals to the entire team. And there are some units that have some very powerful Limb Burst you want to use the very first turn. Think about Rena, for example, who can buff up with 200% HP and MP recovery and cast auto revive. It'd be very useful. Or you can have Charlotte that casts a damage mitigation with 50% and magic cover at the same time. Right, buddy? Yes. Can you say Bolt and Strike again? No, he can't. He's very fluctuated at the moment. Right, buddy? Yes, you are such a good boy. But a good thing you come in here and talk about the Bolt and Strike for us. And I think his main damage move is going to be the Fear Flash. The Fear Flash is going to be one of his main power sources, which is very nice as well. Chains with the Bolt and Strike family. Oh my lord, it is beautiful. Now his Limit Burst is actually pretty decent as well. It will buff him up with 200% for 5 turns and unlock triple cast for 6 turns as well, and does an AoE break with 80% for 1 turn. Yeah, it's a little sad it's only 1 turn, but honestly, if it was even any more other turns, he would be way too powerful. But it's really his only AoE break he has in his kit. In theory, yes, you could fire it off every single turn if you want to. If you could build it up, you could maybe, but it is stretching a bit. But it's an option for you if you want to have those 80% breaks. But at least he has 75%. 5% more can make a big difference. So, not bad at all when it comes to the units. And he also built up SP gauge, which also Ace and Rim does, which also is a big selling point for them as well. And again, Triple Cast allows to utilize everything in his kit while we're chaining with the Bolt and Strike. You're lacking a breaker? This is a great breaker for you who chains with Bolt and Strike. But even in Dark Visions, I see a lot of potential for this unit as well. He has Fire and Lightning he can add to himself. He can decrease those elements up to 120% very easily. Sadly, he doesn't have being able to add Ice, but still, 2 elements. And if you got someone like Mastermind Sun who can take it, give to the rest of the team, and then when you burst the next turn, you can then break Defense and Spirit with 75%, which is also very good while you're still chaining up. So there's some good stuff. Yes, Seiko, you are a really good boy. Yes, you are. Just laying here being a big fluffy ball of fur. So yeah, he is a great unit overall. I highly recommend getting most out of him. I would say there's a pretty damn good chance I'm going to be using this unit in Dark Visions as well, because of he just changed with the Bolt and Strike family, and when I'm going to be using Ace and Rim as well, yeah, I'm going to be using a Breaker. This could really help to hit those chain caps if that's going to be needed. So yeah, I do see a lot of potential for this unit. Oh, found something in your fur, little friend. And that was not a Bolt and Strike move we found in there, right? Oh, you're looking so cute and fluffy. But yeah, to sum it up, sorry for... I know you guys enjoy it when Seiko comes in here, and I just try to ramble on and just continue onward instead of trying to read takes. Little bastard. So, if I were to sum it up, once again, Dark Visions is the biggest selling point here. You can maybe kind of like push it a bit and say another reason why you can pull for these mages is that they're never limited to their elements. So they are mages you can always go back to using for almost any fight, as long as you got someone who can imbue that element to them and decrease that element so you can do some significant damage as well. That's kind of like the two biggest selling points, I would say, with these units. They are really great, but it's your choice if you're going to go for it or not. Me, I am going for them because they're going to be a staple unit I'm going to be using a lot in the Dark Visions. So I can burst through those mage battles a lot easier. And then you have Ilya as a finisher as well. Oh, the damage you're going to be doing. I just need to see how I'm going to be able to hit that cap without ARs frames. That's going to be a little more trickier part since none of them have AR frames. But it's not something that's going to be holding me back as long as I can do top end damage is the most important. Are you guys interested in pulling on these units? I am quite certain most of you are going to go for the free unit. I highly recommend it. You will not be disappointed. That TM and Super TMR is really good to get your hands on and can help you a lot hitting the caps, and maybe you do some very unique builds as well. Right, Seiko? He's purring. He's purring a lot. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Let's try to see if we can fish him out here so you can see him. Come here, boy. Come here. All right, we're going to move the microphone. Right, buddy? Come here. Oh, come on, boy. You're so big and fluffy and big and fluffy. Oh, we pushed something. Hey, buddy. Oh, we pushed something. Oh, we pushed something. Yes, we did. Oh. Let's get the mic back. There we go. Right, buddy? So yeah, guys, please like and subscribe for the channel and hit that bell so you can find your way, so we can laugh together in the darkness.